everyone, welcome to Chitchat with Kitcat in what feels like an absolute eternity. I feel like it's probably been a year since I recorded my last episode. And let me tell you, life has been lifing in a good way, in ways of growth, in ways of testing. All things I'm very happy with. But I'm aware of the radio silence. It has been a while. Also, before I get started, I have changed the location of where I record these episodes, so you may hear some bird tweeting as I am recording in my bedroom now as opposed to the living room. I am also looking after a dog. So if you start to hear random loud snoring, he is a Frenchie. That is why. And I'm also sat on a beanbag. If you're watching this on YouTube or listening to this on YouTube, you will see. So I'm going to try my best to not move so much because you're going to hear a lot of background noise. But yeah, I'm so excited to get started into this episode because I've been wanting to do this for so long, yet have been probably putting it off because of the old imposter syndrome. We all have it. I certainly have it. Just for the podcast in itself, really, and also with the topic. So to give a little context on the podcast, so I haven't been doing this for ages because I wanted to do it properly. So if you were listening to this on Spotify, or if you are listening to this on Spotify, you'll have noticed that I have some new music for the podcast because I wanted it done properly. Matt was a dream to work with again, as you'll have noticed. From my recent post on my socials, I worked with him on my graduate project, and it was so nice to work together again on a meaningful project like this, Chit Chat with Kitcat, because there was no one else who I wanted to do it. He did such a good job last time, and I wanted it all done properly. Today's episode is going to be all about blended families, as my life has been heavily around blended families recently, but also disclaimer, I'm no expert, nor I don't know everything about blended families. All I can go off is my experiences, because that has been going on a lot in the background. And I wanted to share a little bit about how I found it, a little bit about my setup, see if you can take any nuggets of wisdom or insight away with you. So to delve into that a little bit. So yeah, I've been in this setup for a year now. So my partner Callum has two boys. He has a 7-year-old and a 16-year-old. And now, before I even get into it, never did I think that I would be in this situation. Now, it has been the biggest blessing, and it has equally been one of the most hardest things I have ever done in my life, because I'll delve it. That's what this whole podcast episode's about. But it has been such a challenge, but so beautiful. I don't know if beautiful's right. Yeah, I'm going to say beautiful. It's been lovely. And I'm not even a year in yet. I'm nearly a year in. So I've got so much still to come, but I feel like I've got so much to say on it already. But yeah, so my partner Callum has a 7-year-old and a 16-year-old, and I see them bi-weekly. They stay here in my home. We go out, we do fun things, we do activities, or we just have movie nights, and we do all sorts as a family together. And that is probably the most important thing for me to take away from the whole experience is family, as that is probably one of my biggest values, and which leads me back onto my why I'm doing this, because I'd say I'm quite young coming into this experience. I'm 27. I've been through, but then again, feel like for a 27-year-old, I've been through a heap load of shit. I've been through so many different experiences that I feel like I needed to go through in order to have been at this place where I can be like, obviously have fun and la la la, but also emotionally available and emotionally intelligent enough to be able to navigate this big, messy, new area in my life, because it's definitely a mindset thing and it's definitely a practice. Let me tell you that it is definitely a practice. My default, as we all know, is to just go, fucking hell, this is so overwhelming and so intense, but you just take a pause. Take a moment, which I think is great because you can apply that to all areas of your life. So if my patience is being tested now and I'm being able to perfect well, I say perfect, certainly not perfect at the experience, but you get what I mean. If I'm able to apply that into this, I can apply it into anything. But as I mentioned, this whole experience has been likely the biggest opportunity for growth. Like, it, as I said, it's been the hardest thing to do, but also a blessing, because I would say I'm naturally I am a perfectionist through and through, and navigating a blended family and being within a blended family now with my partner and his boys, I have had to really get comfortable with getting it wrong with things I say, getting it wrong with how I go about things. Like, that wasn't so great, I'm going to show up differently next time, and just not letting it either ruin a weekend, or letting it ruin a day, or just disappointment. And then the whole shame thing comes in. This is the main thing. And I think this is sort of something I'm going through at the moment, is giving myself a bit of grace. Like, as I said, I haven't even been in it a year yet, and I'm still finding my feet with it. I'm still finding my feet with my role. Because this is what I found particularly hard, is that I'm coming into, and I am coming into an already established setup. Like, his youngest is 7, his eldest is 16. So his eldest has had 16 years of like seeing his dad, routine with weekends, and his youngest, that's all he's ever known. So he's had 7 years of that. And then I've come along and I'm like, okay, where do I fit? What can I do? What can I say? What can I suggest? Is this the right thing to do? Is this the wrong thing to do? And it's just the art of getting it wrong, but learning. And it almost feels like, I was saying this the other day when I went for coffee with a good friend, I feel like I've just been thrown in at the deep end, because my main thing in life that I would love to be one day is a mum. And I would have obviously had these experiences from the newborn stage and have watched them grow. Now, whilst I'll obviously still watch his children grow from now, I've missed a fat chunk of both of their lives, both of their setups. And I'm just like, right, now I just need to, it's either sink or swim. You have to, whatever happens, you've got to deal with it in one way or the other, and it is probably 80% likely going to be wrong, but you're going to pick it up, and you'll learn for next time. It's navigating coming into an already established setup and finding my role within that, and not being too one or the other as well. Like, not being too, you can't do that, and yeah, it's chill, it's not that deep. Because in my head, I'm like, oh my God, it is that deep, and I'm really stressed, and I can't do this thing until this is sorted out, and this is absolutely fine. It ain't going to be like that. I just need to chill. The art of just being able to chill and relax, I think, will forever be a lifelong lesson. And is something that I'm probably going to struggle with, I am struggling with, but I'm getting better at it. And what will be. Taking a step back and not having to control and perfect everything. Because it also comes down, I believe, it all comes down to a confidence thing. Like, confidence within yourself and confidence within your abilities to adult, and for someone to look up to you. Like when I zoom out of the situation, like, I'm an adult. Like, what the fuck? I'm an adult, and I'm going to have to be somewhat responsible in this situation. Like I said from day dot, like, to take the pressure off myself a little bit, to not pressure myself into being this amazing, like, stepmom who, like, oh my God, she's just cracking life and I can look up to her and she's my role model. Scrap that. I just want to be a positive influence in their lives. I don't want any, like, expectations or anything like that. I just want to be someone that they can look up to and go, yeah, she's cool. I have a great time with dad and his girlfriend on the weekend. We go out for the day. We go to adventure parks. We do all these things. We make really cool memories. We go on holiday. Like, she's really cool. Like, that's all I really want. I don't want to be like this controlling woman who just comes and destroys everything. Like that. I don't want that. And I don't want them to, like, Oh God, she's such a pain in the ass. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, going back to like a confidence thing, it is a direct reflection on everything that you think about yourself. Like when it comes to, like I said, your abilities to do things responsibly, that they can learn from. I don't know if that's the right thing, but basically the point I'm making is experiences like this, I feel like, and shifts like this and transitions like this in your life, like coming into a blended family, for example, I feel like they are mirrors. They are mirrors to whatever we are currently going through in that phase in our lives. So I don't know if I explained that well enough, but basically whatever mindset you're in, whether you're in a good place mentally, whether you're in a bit of a shit place mentally, whatever transition you're going through will reflect that right back to you. So, for example, when I first met them, so I think it was March 2024, last year, so around March time, so coming up to a year, I was in a really odd headspace. Like, I don't know if you've heard of Dark Night of the Soul. I was going through Dark Night of the Soul shit. Like, I was really stressed. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what my purpose was in life. I didn't know what value I could add to anything that I was really doing. I didn't understand my path. I didn't know how in a nice way, I didn't know how I got into this situation. I was like, oh my God, I'm meeting my partner's kids. Like, I'm about to meet my partner's kids, and I don't know where I'm at in my life. I feel like I need to be, in order to do something that big, I feel like I need to be in a completely different headspace. Like, I feel like I don't know myself, so how am I expected to a 7-year-old and a 16-year-old to even know who I am if I don't know who I am? Naturally, as time went on, I was just feeling really stressed. I was feeling really overwhelmed. And I say bad thing that happened, like normal things, like Callum's youngest, he got really frustrated or really cross and angry at something. I was like, oh my God, I'm having a really hard time dealing with the situation. And I just took it all personally. I was like, oh my God, it's because of me, it's because of this new setup, it's because of this change, which understandably, change, especially for someone who's 7, is a hell of a lot to go through. So I needed to understand that. This is what I mean by emotional intelligence. Like, it's gonna be a lot, and I don't need to take that personally. But where I was in such a weird headspace, I was like, oh my God, it's me. This is really triggering me. Hearing a child cry, I don't know why, I've always had this thing. Whenever I hear a child cry, like, it's so intense, and I'm like, oh my God, I need to remove myself from the situation because I feel like I'm gonna have a mentee bee. But that was really hard to deal with, and I was like, oh my God, there is just so much. There's so much here. Like, I'm very much a believer of like going into the body when you're trying to process emotion and going through stuff in your life. Like, I was like, there is something else here. Like, this isn't just like, I'm not just finding this situation hard. Like, this goes a lot deeper. And then obviously I'm not going to make this a therapy session, but from understanding and learning a little bit more about the situation, it was bringing up like so much inner child experiences that I knew was there, and everyone knows it's there, but it's situations and transitions like this that just completely bring it up to the surface, and you're like, oh my God, I actually have to deal with this. And then I don't know if you're like much of a universe kind of thinker or like a divine timing where everything happens for a reason, but I honestly and truly believe that this situation, as hard as it has been, but also how amazing it has been, it has come into my life so I can truly deal with these experiences. Like, I can process these experiences and learn from them, and I'm so happy that it's happened in that way, because obviously down the line I would have had to have processed these emotions or these things that would have come up. But I'm so glad that it's happened in this way and exactly how it has, because it's made me almost more grateful for the experience, for how hard it's been, if that makes sense. Like, and it has just made my love grow for each of them so much more. And it goes back to my why, and why I want to do this, and why I want to be a part of this blended family, and why it's so important to me. Family is a massive core value of mine, and having my own family and being a part of a family. Also, my needs as a person, like a massive need of mine is family, and to have my own immediate family. And obviously when a massive big T trauma, like losing a parent, that is a massive hole that's been created in your life. And now nothing is ever going to replace that hole. Neither should I expect anything to ever replace that hole. Yet this whole experience has just sort of really helped soften it a little bit more. Like, I've got my time, and I've got that sort of, whilst it will feel different, it's the same sort of experience, but it's obviously different. But regardless, it's that family, that need that I have been craving for and needing for like the past 8 years, I've got. And how beautiful, like how amazing is that? And that just means so much to me. I think it's important to share. Obviously, that's my whole experience for the past year. But obviously, as with every relationship in life, whether it be with stepchildren, whether it be with your partner, or whether it be as a family, like collectively, there will be ebbs and flows, and there will be periods of, or seasons of, challenges and real hardship, and seasons where you're so grateful and so happy and so lucky and feeling pure gratitude for the situation. For right now, I feel really good and positive in it, and I feel like we're all finding our feet with it, and we all sort of, I don't know, we're in a good place, I think is what I'm trying to say. That's been because of the wonderful thing called boundaries. That is something I've really struggled with my whole life, is to establish boundaries, both for myself and both with other people. I've just really struggled to be clear in what I need, and also my expectations. So obviously, as a new experience, like being part of a step family, me being the optimist that I am, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be a stepmom. I'm going to be so cool. But I was like, oh my God, this is sick. Like, I'm going to have like kids around. Like, this is going to be so easy. Like, this is just like family. It's something I love so much. Therefore, I haven't got anything to worry about. My partner can deal with all the hard shit. I can just like reap all the rewards and benefits. It's going to be so much fun. No. No. Not obviously we have like great times and great experiences, but yeah, it's not like all sunshine and roses all the time. But basically I was within that mindset from day one. I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. Like, I'm 27 and like I can talk to all my friends about being a stepmom. Like, I'm so grown up. But that Delulu, that La La Land, changed quite quickly, because where I had no boundaries, I was like, yeah, like, do whatever you want, come around whatever you want, do whatever you want, like, just make yourself at home, like, do whatever, like, sick, sweet, like, I haven't got anything to worry about. And it got to a point where I was getting, and I just want to say as well, nobody did anything wrong. Nobody did anything wrong. It was my fault for not getting clear on what my okays were and what my okays weren't. I was getting really irritated, not by anyone. No, as I said, nobody did anything wrong, but I was just feeling really annoyed. I was like, if I'm feeling like this, then God only knows how I'm showing up to his kids and also my partner. Like, if I'm feeling like this, then I'm probably not being my best self. I'm probably not being the best girlfriend. And then I was just feeling like a lot of resentment, and I wasn't looking forward to things as much. But anyway, I was trying to really figure out why that was. And then the penny just dropped. Again, went for a coffee. There's so much that you can get out of having a coffee with a really, really good friend. It took a few hours afterwards, but I just remember I was sat at home. I think I was cooking, and then I literally just grabbed my journal. I was like, oh, I've got it. I understand why. Oh my God, I'm feeling so resentful because I'm not doing any of the things in life that I feel like fills me up anymore. I'm not spending any time doing my podcast. I'm not spending any time doing studying that I have now been trying to do for 3 years. I'm not doing the things in my flat that I wanted to do. I'm not doing anything that fills me up as a person outside of my relationship, outside of my blended family, outside of work, outside of anything. I'm not doing the things that I need to do to make me feel my best. And I was like, no wonder I'm getting so pissed off with everyone, because again, nobody's fault, but I was spending all my spare time almost like, this is a situation I'm in now, so I've got to like stop everything that I'm doing. That was definitely a subconscious thing, because as I hear that statement aloud now, I'm like, are you joking? Like, never lose sight of who you are, regardless of what you're doing in life. Like, never lose sight of what lights you up in this life, like regardless of your circumstances. If you are just going through something and you feel like you're losing yourself a little bit, don't ever let anything make you think that you need to lose sight of who you are. Like, again, I went for a drink with a friend this week, and another aha moment or a bit of wisdom that I took away from that conversation was being really fucking selfish. Not in a selfish that's going to purposely hurt someone's feelings, but selfish in a way of like, no, I am going to have this time for myself because I need it to be able to be a better girlfriend, to be a better human being, because I can't provide and do those things without having done that first. So if you need a day, take yourself out on a self-care day, take yourself out for dinner, take yourself out for a hot girl walk. Do it seriously, because you're just going to end up hating anyone, and then eventually yourself, and then no one wants to do that. Who wants to end up hating themselves in 2024? Not me. Fucking hell. Cutting a long story short, I was saying yes to everything and I didn't have my time. But I've basically said what I need. I need time. Now I have those times to do the things that fill me up. I now feel joy. I now feel excitement when I now go back to seeing the boys on the weekend. I'm like, oh, I'm really looking forward to this, because I get to tell them everything that I've been doing recently, and oh my God, I've released a podcast episode, and oh, I've been filming this content for my socials, they'll love this. That's when I'm like, yes, I feel like that has helped me get to where I'm at now, of I'm able to do all the things that fill me up in life equally, and that's why I feel so frigging good in my life right now. Like, I feel so good, and it's because I've been able to do that. And that's why boundaries are so important. They are scary, because I didn't even know how to set one. I didn't even know, even to have that conversation with my partner, like, to be like, I need this, and I don't want you to take it the wrong way. I don't want you to think that I hate all of you, and I don't want you to think that this is what, like, I love you all, but I just need this time for myself. And he was like, yeah, sweet, of course, I get it. And I was like, oh, that wasn't so hard. But I've never really had to do that before in my life. So again, this is what I mean about like the gratitude with the experiences. Like, I'm just so blessed for the people that I do have around, and for my little family. So like I say, obviously I'm in a good place now, and everything feels really good now. Things like this, there is natural ebb and flow. So it's during those hard times is to just zoom out. I don't know who it was or what I got this from, but there's a beautiful thing where you can zoom out from an experience, but basically just not take your experience so literally or personally, and just zoom out a little bit and just have a moment and just flip the mindset of it. So like, going back to the example earlier of his youngest just getting angry or upset about something before, I still probably do to an extent now, I would take that so personally, and I would go, oh, it's me, it's this, it's, oh, he hates it, he hates me, and it's horrible, and I don't know what to do. Whereas now, I feel like I flipped the mindset a bit, and having a bit more compassion and empathy for the situation. It's like, he's 7. He's going through something, he's struggling with something, I can understand why he would act like that whilst at an age trying to regulate your emotions and trying to navigate your own stuff in your own head. Like, I can see that. I was probably not far off when I was 7. Let's give the situation some grace, rather than my default wanting to go, fucking hell, this is so stressful. Get me a glass of Pinot and get me to the pub because I need to just process. Now, there's nothing wrong really with needing to get out, but I don't want that to be my default because I don't think that's very great for the situation. But there's nothing wrong with needing a cheeky Pinot after a long day. But you get what I'm saying with it. It's flipping the mindset, this is nothing to do with me. This is not about me. I can be a positive influence in this moment in time for that. So I'm going to do everything that I can to just help. But it's also giving yourself those affirmations. I don't know about you, but I do really enjoy affirmations of like, I'm doing the best that I can in this situation, or I am forever finding peace, or looking primarily for peace amongst a big change, or something like that. And this is where I am really thankful, an amazing resource that I have found, and an amazing community that I have found throughout all of this, which is Blended. Now, I don't know if you've heard of Kate Ferdinand. She is doing amazing things for blended families and people who are in similar experiences. She is a Wonder Woman and I love her so dearly with everything that she's doing. Again, someone using their experiences and values to create something beautiful. I love it. She set up a community and a podcast as well called Blended. You can find Blended over on Instagram, but basically I went along to a walk and a meet up within the Blended community the other week, and it was gorgeous, beautiful, immaculate vibes, great conversation, amazing women. I loved it. But she's basically Blended have an Instagram page and they post affirmations daily. They post it on their stories. They post experiences that people have written in who are needing some help. And it's like a nice hug. It's just a gorgeous thing and an anchor to really hold tight with you during hard times, like navigating a blended family. But Blended is a great resource. So if you're like going through this and like working through this transition of like working out who you are in a blended family or just anything like that, I highly recommend listening to the episodes as well on the Blended podcast. I loved it, and I love the page and I love the whole meaning behind it. I think it's great. But it's having that and having those resources, which I think is so important when going through hard things as well. Another couple of creators' resources, I don't really know what to call them, to be honest. Someone who has helped me through a lot, I suppose, with every area of my life, mainly transitions. I don't know if you've heard of her, someone called Cheryl Paul. She has her own website, Conscious Transitions. She writes gorgeous blog posts, amazing blog posts. She also has her own podcast, Gathering Gold. Amazing podcast. And she also has a book. Oh, I don't have it with me. That would have been so on cue if I had the book right there. It was by my bedside a couple of weeks ago, but it's not anymore. A fun fact, if you want to know what the books are by my bedside, I've currently got The Body Keeps the Score. Fantastic book. And Make Change That Lasts by Dr. Rangan Chatterjee. Anyway, moving swiftly on. I can't remember what we were talking about. This is what I was fearing. This is why I've written a script. Because I'm like, oh, there's a bird. Oh, there is a bird, actually. Anyway, moving on. Where were we at? Oh, yeah, resources. Books. So Cheryl Paul has also written Wisdom of Anxiety and talks very much about how anxiety is a messenger from within, not quite literally of what either our intrusive thoughts or limiting beliefs are saying, but more like, why are they showing up? You need to listen to something else. But what I was touching upon before was navigating those hard times within a family, and especially, like, as I mentioned before, about the feeling of being thrown in at the deep end and not really knowing what to do or how to show up, like in tense moments, like keep feelings safe, but also emotions feeling safe and physically safe as well. Like, don't jump on the sofa because you could break your neck. Those kind of things and those kind of parental situations as well. But also where I'm coming into a situation where I'm having to find my feet quite quickly, and also having to find my parenting style quite quickly as well. Callum's been a parent for a hell of a long time, and I've been a parent for less than a year. So naturally, our parenting styles are going to differ massively. And with that comes the art of communication. There's going to be a lot of communication that is going to need to be had when two people are going to naturally have totally different parenting styles, because I'm going to get it wrong. I'm going to know what I want to do, but it might come out completely differently. And also, Callum's trying to be a parent in a different circumstance, in a different environment. So there is going to be so much nuance. Is understanding what our intentions are, what to focus on, what our goals are. And 9 times out of 10, they are the same. Now, we might go around things a little bit differently or see things a little bit differently in a situation. But as long as our end goal is the same, i.e. we're wanting this outcome from having done this thing, as long as that's the same, we can talk for days about having that goal is what is important. And it is also so hard to schedule in those conversations, or when to have those conversations, or how to have those conversations. So like, we'll be navigating a tough situation where something's going on or whatever, and I'm like, oh, I really wish he didn't say that, or oh, I don't know if that was the best thing to say. And then vice versa, he'll be like, oh, I don't know if you should have done that, or I think you could have said that a bit better. And in the moment where I'm very much like, solve it now, sort the situation now, squish it, I'm wanting to sort it there and then. It's like, okay, what's this conversation going to look like if we have them in front of the kids? Let's pause, let's breathe, and we'll talk about it later. And doing that, it is hard, because 9 times out of 10 I would have forgotten what the whole situation was about. But yeah, it's having that communication, and something that what me and Callum do is actually schedule. It sounds actually quite weird, I don't know, but we actually schedule in time throughout the week. We both work very hard, we're very busy people. Scheduling in those times when we can actually have conversations about things, or just to have a general catch up about how things are going for us, what we liked, what we didn't like, how something could have gone a little bit better. Just catch ups, really, like actually scheduling them in, which sounds really boring, but actually it helps so much. And also during those conversations when we do catch up, is actually, what do we need from each other? What do I need from you in this moment when that happens? And what do you need from me? And regardless, those conversations are really important. And actually, I strongly think without those conversations, we wouldn't be in such a good spot right now. And also something as well, moving on from that, when obviously the nervous system is regulated and we've moved on from whatever's happened and we both feel quite calm, it's to also remind ourselves to choose love always. And again, that sounds really shit. Not shit, but it sounds a bit like, oh my God. Like, things are hard. Things are going to get hard. Blended families are hard, because I am a firm believer of love will always win. Through the hardships, love will slowly filter back through, and you'll be like, this is why I'm here. This is why I'm doing it. Because going through difficult situations, personal triggers are going to come up as well. Like what I mentioned earlier on, like children crying or going through a hard time. I find that personally something really quite hard. Whereas for Callum, he'll find something else equally as hard, and that will trigger him. Maybe something I said, or maybe something that I'm trying to navigate, he'll find that more difficult. So then picture 2 triggered people trying to go at something. It's hard. And also in those moments as well, it's just finding the glimmers. I don't know if you've heard as well of like the glimmers, and searching for your glimmers of just the things that we have such, as a family, I think we're smashing it. I do honestly think that we are smashing it. and we're going through what we're going through in probably, do you know what, in actually probably the best way. I wouldn't have it any other way. It's all unfolding in a way that is inspiring growth, and I feel like any situation like that, you are on a really good path. It's really lovely because when we'll all be, say, I don't know, having a games night, or we'll be having a movie night, and Callum will just come over and give me a kiss, or he'll give me a hug. His youngest, he'll sometimes be like, oh my God, Daddy loves Rachel. And he'll make a big fuss of it, as a 7-year-old probably would. But he'll do that, but then he'll also be like, oh, Rachel loves Daddy. And it's like I love that. And also, how good is that for all of us? How good is that for even a year in, for him to have obviously seen that, like he can see like the love between us, but for him to know that, and just to see that, and to hear that, actually to hear him say that, is really nice. And it's like, I've always said, when I have my own kids, or now I'm in this situation where I'm parenting to kids, I want to model a kind of love that they are going to learn and they are going to take with themselves on their own journeys. And if I've modelled that in a year, I'm fucking smashing it, or we're smashing it, because that's all that I want at the end of the day. But actually, I think that's a really nice note to end it on. I had a whole script because I hope I didn't go off on a tangent too many times, but I think that's a really nice place to end sort of the conversation on. I think that's pretty much everything that I wanted to talk about. I hope I haven't word vomited too much. I can't believe that I've nearly been recording for 50 minutes. I think this is the longest podcast episode I've ever done, understandably. But I really hope you enjoyed this episode type, or the topic of conversation. And also, just to slide in really quickly, if you did enjoy this episode, I would love it more than anything if you could leave a review, either on Spotify or as a comment on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, I'd love it if you could just leave a comment. I'd love that. Or my social media, if you're seeing snippets or whatever, give me some love. Give the podcast some love. Or equally, I am open to feedback. I would love to hear it. And also for future podcast episodes, I do have a big list of a lot of episodes that I want to do and go into. I'm probably going to release these episodes monthly now, because where I'm trying to fit everything in, I think that is achievable. I can't wait to get back to doing these. Probably going to do these monthly, but I will leave you to it now. That's probably the longest outro I've ever done. Keep smiling, keep doing you, keep doing what lights you up in this world, because as cliche as that sounds, that's what we're all here for. But keep doing you, keep smashing it. I see you. I'm so proud of you, and I cannot wait to speak to you in the next one.